Per usual, everything on this channel is for educational purposes only and is not intended as financial advice. It is Teaching Tech Tuesday. It's been a week since I discussed a breakout trade on BTC. Felt fairly obvious at the time, and here we are. We're getting some pullback at the yearly pivot. Just so happens that there's a large seller of coin 80,000 BTC, around 9 billion USD being sent to Galaxy Digital and being sold on exchanges about the worst way imaginable. But here we are. Just saw a story hit the wire that potentially 4 billion of the 80,000 BTC will get bought by a Bitcoin treasury company. And you would assume that that's what Galaxy would have tried to do, is try to match the BTC with a buyer versus going to exchanges, but whatever. Maybe they did that and didn't find anybody. In any event, I got asked last week, what's the difference between a major and a minor signal for me? What do I care about? What's my true north? A lot of that tends to come over time. In your early trading journey, you will get bombarded with everything imaginable. Most people don't know what they're doing. They listen to everything, or they listen to the wrong things. They develop bad habits, and then they just perpetually lose money the rest of their life. That's some people. Some people learn. Some people gravitate towards what works versus what doesn't, and then you develop your own system and way of doing things. Hopefully it's pretty obvious for me. The two things I care about the most, well, first of all, it's technicals over fundamentals, absolutely, for any reason whatsoever, for any market, for any chart. If I don't like the technicals, it's not for me. I have to love the technicals first. The technicals are what bring me here. The technicals are why I'm trading what I'm trading on any given day. It's that simple. Within technicals, it's obviously a massive bucket. Most people say it's hogwash, voodoo, fine, whatever. Like, I don't care what other people do. It doesn't matter to me. All I know is it works for me. So I like trend, I like chart patterns, and on top of that, fibs. That's it. That's if you could master those three things, you're going to make a lot of money. You're going to make a lot of money trading trend and chart patterns. I particularly like the cloud because I'm back testing and forward testing in all markets. Use any settings you want. I don't care. I use the ones I do because I like them. The signals are great. That's my edge. So everybody's got to find their edge. People tend to dull their edge by listening to too many things. You get this analysis paralysis noise. You're listening to macro podcasts. Like, I listen to all that stuff too. I don't take it seriously enough to impact my trading. I listen to it to get informed about what's going on. But even in the macroverse, you can discern what's actually matters or not, right? What's actionable here or not. Most of the time, every single data point on any given week, not actionable whatsoever. There are certain times like today, we had CPI today. There is a news event related volatility that maybe that would help you stay out of the market until that uncertainty clears. It just so happens that the uncertainty is aligned with this seller, right? But just as an example, if you're waiting for a trade and you've got technicals lined up, you've got your targets, your stop loss, your entry, exit, whatever. Something else I would consider as important would be, okay, what's going on in the world around me right now in macro, and what historically has moved the market. If US retail sales later this week historically has never moved BTC or has never moved legacy, then why should I care, right? Like, it doesn't matter. Up, down, sideways, whatever. If unemployment historically has mattered as a data point on the day, the week, the month, or the year, then yeah, that's worth paying attention to and being aware of. But I'm not going to fashion all of my trades around various data points. So it's a buffet. Take what you like, throw out the rest, ignore it. But you sort of have to establish that for yourself. Other than cloud and chart patterns, for me, it's a few other things. Pitchfork, moving averages are great. Fractals, Williams fractals, we can add that to the honorable mentions list. Very good at trailing stop losses and entries. But again, I see people with all sorts of stuff, Elliott waves, MACD, Stoke, whatever. If it works for you, great. It doesn't work for me, so I just ignore it. You can say, and you can tell me anything you want about anything. I'm just going to ignore it. It's not important to me. It has not made me money in the past. It is unlikely to make me money in the future. It may make you money. You may do very well trading 4-hour Stoke, right? It's just not for me. A lot of people have done very well trading the cloud and edge-to-edge stuff. Great. If that makes you money, you want to keep finding that sort of trade, that sort of setup, size it appropriately, on the appropriate time frame and keep hitting doubles or keep trying to hit home runs on setups that you know work. Stop trying to force trades on random stuff like treasury companies. Okay, just as an example, if you want to gamble on treasury companies, fine. Like, this stuff can still work on treasury companies, but you have to be aware there's some idiosyncratic stuff where a random headline or issuance of whatever, right? People always want to lever up. They want to crank it to 11 and they want to apply something that's worked for maybe a lower volatility environment for maximum leverage. Totally reasonable and possible. You just have to be aware of what you're doing. Maybe size it appropriately. But my list is very small and very simple. I could put it on an index card, right? We're not talking about big brain stuff here. This is nothing revolutionary that I don't think. It's just extremely basic. And it's a framework that is applied over and over and over again. I have a cookie cutter. I'm looking for specific things all the time in any market. We can add a few other things because we are at an all-time high, because we are in a price discovery environment. We can think about, okay, what really matters here right now? Does this guy really matter? If the market's real, if the bull market's real, if the rally's real, this does not matter. So I have to trade with the assumption that the market's going to absorb this. We're seeing Bitcoin flows on the ETFs that are still very strong. In the past 5 weeks, we've had 8 billion in inflows in the ETFs. That's not counting treasury companies. That's not counting anything else. So I'm going to assume that, yes, we will struggle at this level, but I'm going to assume that we will make it through the other side. Am I selling my cold storage because some guy from 2011 is selling his cold storage? Also, no, right? Like, it's a time frame thing. What matters today is not going to matter, hopefully, weeks from now. Like Germany selling thousands of coins in 2024. That mattered a lot in the moment. GOX mattered a lot in the moment. US government selling, that mattered a lot in the moment. But here at this price at 116, who cares, right? So here's a list of stuff I've talked about. Again, very basic. I'm not looking at every single thing that's available. Find what you like. Use what works on backtesting or what you know has helped you make money personally, and let the rest go. And if we want to simplify it even further. But if you've got a list of 25 things, you see that classic technical analysis chart where people are dumping on technical analysis, or like, look at this chart. It looks like a scribble with a crayon and there's 50 colors and, price is going up or down, right? If you're getting to that point, you've probably gone too far. So pare it back a lot. Focus on what works. That's the important part here. And if you don't know what works, you're just too early in your trading journey, right? You're still trying to find that for yourself. What I would do is double everything, double the time frames, double the indicators as far as the time frame is looking at. So like, why is the cloud doubled? It slows you down. Double RSI, double Stoke, double MACD. Instead of speeding things up, looking for trades, let the market come to you and find what works for you. There are too many people trying to do too many things. I was out the other day at 2 different places, and in both places there were people talking about gambling on sports. Fine, it's entertainment. It's gambling. That's not what we're doing here. That's not what we're trying to do here. If you have an edge gambling, then maybe that's what your true north is. That is not my edge. My edge is looking for this specific cookie cutter setup and knowing what to do. So some people have to get to that point first to find what works for them. I've also talked about how to lose money in a bull market. A little bit of OPSEC here, a little bit of not over trading, too much leverage. A lot of people, I'm sure, are trapped up here from 120, right? Because they were 10x leveraged or more, or they were leveraging something else with leverage, and now we're pulling back a bunch. And now they're screwed because funding is going against them or whatever, right? All sorts of reasons late longs are getting punished up here. But you don't want to put yourself in a position where you're right on the direction, but still wrong in the P&L. So usually that happens because you're over trading, you're trading too big, or you're using too much leverage. You have to give this time and the opportunity to continue and to deal with stuff like this that happens, right? Both up and down. You're going to see stuff like this continuously. We saw it in 2017 when Roger Ver decided he's going to sell however much he decided to sell at that time. There aren't that many large entities left. There are a few of them, certainly. Not as many as this 80,000 BTC guy. GOX is gone. Germany's gone. Many of these early holders just don't exist anymore. They've sold a lot of it. There are still some lesser holders that will sell, but that's always also not as important to the market. It's not going to stop things to a screeching halt like this has. One other super important metric that I pay attention to is relative value. And you can do that in a variety of different ways, either directly with these pairs, ETH BTC, Sol ETH, Sui Sol, whatever. You can fashion them yourself on TradingView. But if you really want to generate alpha, which is returns outside of the benchmark, which in this case is Bitcoin, you're going to need to start measuring everything against Bitcoin, which I see a lot more people doing, which is great. They tend to forget that after alt season happens because it didn't matter. So we're getting to the point where we're seeing breakouts here on BTC pairs. This is the best ETH BTC has looked in years. We're talking probably since 2022, it hasn't looked this good. So that's going to get me to move assets into ETH, absolutely. Do I believe in ETH, the narrative, the story, the developers, the chain, staking? I don't really care about anything else. That's all minor. Like, you can say regulatory clarity and stablecoins is bringing stuff here and we're going to have 1 billion people on the chain. Whatever. I don't care. All I'm looking at here is technicals. That's it. It doesn't go further than that. This is my lizard brain saying, okay, trend bullish, ETH beat BTC here. Great time to buy ETH. That's it. I don't go beyond that. Now we can talk about everything else and we can find it interesting and look at the transactions and yada, yada, yada. But that is not what is making my trading decisions for me. It's all about, how does this look on a relative value basis? How does IWM look against the SPY? How does coin look against MSTR? Stuff like that. So you have to develop your own list. But for me, I've noticed less is more. Hyper focus on what works. Try to ignore as much as the other nonsense as possible. And yeah, it's fun to listen to. It's fun to discuss and talk about and think about. But don't let that poison the success that is waiting for you by focusing on what works. That's all I have for this one. Give me a like, dislike, comment, share, subscribe, and happy trading.